Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is August 8th, 2021. Howard, what's going on? Are you happy with Robinhood's public debut?
Not sad. How's that?
Sure.
It was an interesting week for sure. I did not expect I wouldn't have predicted any of the moves. So what the hell do I know? I mean, what's the chart is bananas.
Yes, pretty crazy. It seems like,
Well, I guess if you look at it on the week, it's just, yeah, I don't know, that $80. I mean, I guess I don't remember seeing it hit $80. But
today hit 85.
yeah, that's where I sold all my shares right there. You can just see
Sure.
the candle.
Yeah.
That's the candle in my dreams.
Well, at 46 billion is still what, 1/3 of Schwab. So
Yeah, it's so funny. It's so funny because
and it's one of the fastest growing companies right now.
my LPs were emailing. One emailed me, "Hey, I got a boat," and then 2 minutes later, I go, "Sold the boat." It was really funny. There was some funny, and I said, "Hey, just lost my house." I mean, when the numbers get that big, it is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
But so I remember the days where I cared about every dime, and now I'm just happy to be above ground. So where's Schwab's? And I don't know, the chart looks pretty damn good.
130.
130 billion. That's the financials had a huge week, which I guess bodes well for Hood.
A huge Friday, not a huge week.
So I mean, a huge Friday. Yeah, Goldman all-time highs. Goldman all-time highs.
Yeah, I mean, Friday after the jobs number came out, interest rates went up, spiked, treasuries sold.
Rates spiked.
When that happened, financials rally, money flows into financials. So this is exactly what we saw on Friday. So after like several weeks of consolidation, financials led on Friday. It was actually probably one of the strongest sector on Friday. Tech sold off. Usually when interest rates spike, usually financials go up, tech goes down, and then vice versa. I mean, this year has been a constant chase between the market discounting first inflation and then deflation. So when there are any COVID worries, it's about deflation. So all the tech stocks outperform, financials go down. And then when there are inflation worries, strong jobs report on Friday, obviously that means higher inflations down the road. So interest rates spike, financials lead.
Yeah, it's interesting because the big like Fiverr plummeted on that news too. It's interesting. I mean, I got to start
earnings season, so company are going to have 20%.
No, but go look at that from the March gig economy. This is like the gig economy stock. This is an Upwork. If you go look at a monthly on Fiverr, I mean, what a run since the bottom in March.
Yeah, it's insane. It was like what, under $20 at some point.
Yeah, Upwork, UPWK. So that's interesting. I didn't follow. I haven't been following the market that closely, but these are the leaders of the gig economy. I guess you could say Square too. There's just so much going on. I mean, they did the big buy now pay later acquisition.
Afterpay, yes.
Yeah. Never Pay. That's my brand. Never Pay. But very interesting stuff going on because you also have crypto, like Bitcoin back above 40,000. So you basically have Wells Fargo, Goldman Sachs, Square, Bitcoin. I mean, there is no, look at that thing. It's a criminal organization. And Warren Buffett's having a year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as if the fraud never happened. So there's something for everybody, unless you're a gold bug. I think the only thing not working is gold. And isn't that supposed to be the one thing that's working?
It's breaking down, yeah.
It's pretty interesting. Because anyways, there's a lot of young investors that aren't reading any textbooks, I guess. They're just tweeting and talking to people on Reddit. But the playbook, I think you nailed there. I think when there's a hint of rates rising, tech sells off because everything's so well richly valued, and then
Yeah, that's the big picture. Yeah.
Yep. What? So let's go through the indexes and see. Equal weighted S&P broke out, so there's some breadth coming back to the market.
Yeah, it was the symbol.
I'm not sure. I don't trade it. I just read it somewhere.
Okay, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter because the S&P is
itself is near all-time highs.
Yeah.
Obviously, small caps have been the one that is lagging, but it's if you look at it on a weekly, it's kind of looking constructive.
Pretty healthy.
Yeah, it's kind of setting up here for a potential breakout near 225.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
Still big range, like what 200 to 230. So after this huge move, I mean 100% move from the March 2020.
For an index, for it to just digest,
just even for like a year or so after this big move.
My puppy is roaming upstairs. All right. So anything stand out? She's just going to rest.
I mean, some of the gene editing stocks, interestingly, are starting to pop up and already get quite a few good days. Editas, 3 updates in a row, breakout after earnings.
CRSP.
Yes, we get there. Intelia, CRISP, starting to break out. Obviously, they spent such a long time going kind of sideways.
Yeah, but what a run it's had off the lows. Like if you look at a monthly of some of these.
Yeah, just 1 second. So Beam and then
NVTA is one as well.
Nvita?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not really rallying with the other 5 that I just mentioned.
No, it's the weakest, I guess. Okay.
But yes, if we look at monthly, I mean, it's a mess on a monthly.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, these things don't have earnings, so it's like.
Some of them do.
Yeah, negative. They're burning cash.
Don't even have.
These things are burning cash. It's a risk-on market. We'll see. Listen, we've got a risk-on market summer, but pretty interesting with Goldman and the banks and Berkshire and Schwab. And Robinhood. It would have been a perfect time for a top in the market. Let's face it. Everybody was saying, Coinbase was the kind of a top for crypto, and whenever they went public, we can look in April. And then you could, people will look back at the Robinhood IPO and maybe say there's kind of a top in place. But it's hard when I see Goldman Sachs at an all-time high in crypto, and and Square.
What, 80% in 3 weeks? Pretty insane.
Yeah.
And obviously all the crypto-related stocks also perking up, like Silvergate and.
Yeah, Silvergate's interesting company.
MXTR and all the small ones that are.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
I don't know what to do, but they're crypto-related. Marathon.
Yeah. That does not look terrible.
Yeah.
Even the proxies are working. God, there's a million ways to buy Bitcoin and people still running the MicroStrategy. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. So, the one thing that I wanted to mention tonight is that bull markets correct through sector rotations. And we continue to see that, while one sector pulls back, let's say techs pull back, then financials pick up the leadership and then vice versa. There's a constant rotation between those two, between the inflation and the deflation scare. Like 1 week, the market is worried about inflation, the next week about deflation. And we're seeing the correction just happening under the surface while the indices are just kind of holding near all-time highs.
And the Robinhooders or the millennials or the Redditors don't give a flying rat's ass about the macro. It's pretty interesting. Like if you talk to young people, especially American young people, not one mentions inflation. Like if you talk to a young investor on Robinhood, I don't even know why they give news out on that site. Not that news is useful anyways when investing, which they shouldn't even have news on Robinhood, but there's not one kid under 30 will mention like China or Russia or they'll talk about COVID, but they won't talk about rates. They won't talk about inflation. They're just talking about their stocks. And it's just pretty interesting because retail's become such a bigger part of the market that some rules are getting rewritten, and you have basically two financial systems at this point. You have people who are getting their bank statements sent in the mail, and then there's people who have a lot of their money in crypto, and the government's trying to even figure out how to get you to pay taxes on it. And it's really fascinating. So you have kind of two systems. They're trying to integrate them a little bit so they can control the money. But really, if you're young, your money's kind of like they're going to have to find you and then prove it. And I don't know, like, do they have the manpower to like really come after and figure this out? But Bitcoin can go to zero and it wouldn't affect the stock market, and Bitcoin could go to 1 million and not affect the stock market, right? Like, it's going to make it's like kind of like agriculture. Like, if you had a farm before there was money that mattered, you were rich. And I think now if you've got digital currency, you're rich and people won't know it. And we've kind of got like two bull markets in two different financial worlds happening.
The excessive liquidity has created other markets, which is a good thing because, the existence of cryptocurrencies, I guess, kind of keeps inflation in check. Inflation probably would have been a lot higher if the crypto market didn't exist.
True, these kids would have been spending that money. That's a really good point.
Like, and tools and stocks, so we would have seen much higher inflation without the existence of those new markets, I think.
True. Like, I mean, the kids are spending money on like these crypto punks, right? Like, they don't go into the economy; it goes into some creator's pocket, who then goes and spends it on other digital goods. It's really bananas. You're right. There's inflation, but it's in asset prices in digital goods. It's really bananas. And the textbooks just are not, while they make sense for the old world, they're not making any sense in the crypto world, where there's no fundamental agreed upon metrics for Bitcoin or Solana or Ethereum. And I mean,
have you invested in any pure crypto startups?
Yeah, I haven't made any money in them. Every time I invest in a crypto startup, I should just put money in the actual cryptos. I think we're that still early. I'm talking to really a lot of people around in the 90s, like successfully early internet, like pre the internet bubble. And that's what they're talking about crypto now. They're finally saying, even though it's 10 years in, this finally feels like 93, 94, 95, where the infrastructure is getting built, right? You have your eBays already now, where people are like OpenSea and Rarible. They're even Rallyworld, where people are trading their goods, right? The eBay of collectibles are being built. Obviously the Amazon of collectible doesn't make sense because no one's delivering anything. But Shopify is probably a crossover, probably the biggest crossover brand. Maybe Square, maybe Robinhood, maybe Coinbase, where you've got crossover platforms that are helping people in both. Coinbase is going to be tougher because it was like a direct listing, and direct listings historically have just not done great. So I don't know if I try.
Coinbase is worth more than Robinhood.
Yeah, well, they're hugely look at the profit numbers. Look at them trading $5 a share. They're looking at $5 a share in earnings. But I mean, it's just really a fascinating moment. This summer is really a crossover moment where, like, the government's trying to tie the systems together. Actively after bad actors, the government, whether it's what they're concerned about Binance. You've got China completely separating themselves from the rest of the world in terms of tech. And meanwhile, the S&P at all-time highs. So, you can't overthink it. You see a good setup, you take it. You see a bad setup, get the hell out. Like China, there was all kinds of warnings here over the last 3-4 months. Going back to March, terrible technical pattern, and there you have the news breaking with the stock prices. So So right now, U.S. markets are where it's at, and the crypto markets are where it's at. Everywhere else is not to be trusted.
Yeah, I mean, the one interesting thing on Friday was that, and obviously the US dollar rallied, and then gold um, pulled back, but the industrial metals like the steel and aluminum, the growth-related metals, they also went up and tried to break out like aluminum
Huh.
and steel. So obviously the market is thinking about growth, economic growth when this sector rallies.
Yeah.
So.
But listen, there is a boom. Rich people on both, whether they're digital or physical, have money to spend.
Let me check the both stocks. What's going on? HZO.
Which ones? Oh, boats.
Both in
Yeah.
MGU. Let me see what's going on. It's not bad. Not super liquid though.
No, not super liquid. But I mean, there is just so much money sloshing around, right? And what do you really need? An iPhone? You need a bike? Fancy bike? I mean, I don't know what to spend money on. A little bit of Lulu clothing. There's like, I was at a store. Rachel, where did we shop today? Aloe. I was at a yoga place called Aloe because Lulu's not. Have you heard about it?
Yeah, I have a few items. It's not.
It's pretty nice. It's very comfortable. It's their product is more expensive than Lulu. Lulu's selling me underwear, like designer underwear, basically. And I go into this Aloe, and I'm like, whoa. And not to be obnoxious, but I didn't even check price. My daughter just goes, "It's more expensive." I'm like, what? Like, that's their business model, is to be more expensive. And it was packed. So what do I know? I was at a high-end mall, and it was like LVMH lined out the door, Hermes lined out the door, like fancy restaurants lined out the door. So the rich are having a ball. What was it? The LVMH guy is the richest guy in the world, or pretty much close to it, which is I think it's one of the most interesting stories in the world, because not enough people are talking about it. This is basically a high-end retailer and a fashion brand, which if you map that chart out against Apple's, they're basically the same thing. They're both high-end fashion brands. And, I've talked about Fashology here for, I don't know, 15 years. Really? This proves that there's something to fashion in this technology merging. He's been incredible at acquisitions. I forget, it's the French guy, but you think about Nike, you think about Lulu, you think about Peloton, you think about Apple. They're fashion brands, or they're statements by technology people about fashion. And so LVMH, I don't know why I haven't been following it all these years, but what an incredible stock since March, since the crash in March, when it touched the 200-day there, what, like 60? So in March 2020, I mean, same as Nike. If we pull up Nike since March 2020, I think it's tripled.
Anything apparel related, not only Nike, but Under Armour and the others, has been on a roll lately.
Even Under Armour?
Yes, Under Armour too.
Yeah, but I mean, basically. Yeah. Oh wow. What do we got in a monthly on Under Armour? I think they're so cheap though.
It's Nike, but it's coming back.
Yeah. Not for me. Stick with the best right now, and I think high-end fashion and technology seems to be what people want on the dips. I'm not going to get sucked into the Goldman, although the Goldman breakout is real. It's just been sneaky good.
Yeah, financial. So they move together.
Yeah, I mean, look at the monthly on Goldman. I mean, that is really starting to get some. I just think they're the ones that invested the most in tech because of their investing arm, and that's a breakout from 2008.
I mean, they broke up.
That was a great buy in the 250s. Hasn't really looked back.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to those that took it. Listen, Wells Fargo. I mean, there's just some money being made. On both sides. So summer, it's been a good summer for people that are stock picking and just staying in the market. I think it's just another lesson about staying in the market. I mean, this doesn't look like a market that's about to roll over.
No,
So,
even though seasonally August through October is
terrible.
weak for stocks, the stocks are not acting as weak as they're supposed to. So
Yeah, I mean, we look at the unknowns. We don't know about school. We don't know about boosters. We don't know. I mean, travel's still a shit show. They're talking about another shutdown for at least for travel. You got China out of the picture. And here we are. And like, so it's not like there's not a lot of wall of worry to climb. There's a massive wall of worry that we're continuing to climb. So I think you stay invested and you pick your spots, but you know, there's booby traps is what I would say out there. And I don't know where they are. There's, you just like when I say booby.
Sure.
Look at you smile when I say booby. You don't even know what it means.
All right. I think that's enough for tonight.
All right. Well, there you have it, everybody. I mean, enjoy your summer. Well, the market's saying enjoy your summer. And there will be tougher times ahead, but this ain't the moment.
Yeah.
And have a great week, bub.
All right. You too.